Alright, so it's Jay Skillen here, UK Master Hyrox Coach and owner of the Unstoppable Hyrox Coaching Program. Now, I wanted to take you through something today that is going to help you to have a deeper understanding of how to develop inside of Hyrox as a sport. With it being so new, there's so many different concepts and ideas about what the best way to train is. Now, we've taken over 12 athletes to World Championship level performance this year alone. 66 of them have had Hyrox podiums throughout the season. So we know a thing or two about getting our athletes to a level of performance that is going to have them achieving the best that they can possibly achieve. So I want to basically share with you some concepts to help you right now in your growth as a Hyrox athlete. Okay, so what we have to understand when we are looking at training is we have to think about two things. Okay, one, what is our background? So what am I coming into Hyrox with a background of? Is it weightlifting? Is it CrossFit? Is it running? And that will kind of determine how and what phase we enter first as a priority. Okay, because it's going to obviously dictate and indicate the things that we need to work on the most in our Hyrox growth. The second thing we need to really think about as well is, do we have experience in Hyrox already? If we do, we're going to have markers, the data-driven decisions in our training cycle as to what we need to work on to maximize our potential to grow from event to event. If we haven't got background, then it's best to probably start with the order that these work through, okay? However, I'm just going to explain what this basically means. So when we're developing as a Hyrox athlete, we want to be thinking about a big training cycle. This can last anywhere between 12 to 16 weeks. Again, it kind of depends on your background and where you're at right now in terms of your growth. But I want to talk about the 3 phases of training that you can take yourself through that's going to help you understand and implement different strategies in training to help you develop, okay? So first phase we have inside of this training cycle is our absolute strength phase, okay? Now in our absolute strength phase, we're going to be seeing workouts like 3x5s, maximal strength, max strength on the sled work. So we're going to be really utilizing the sled and getting used to pushing the weight. We're probably going to see a lot of lower split days through the week, push and pull as well for the upper body, and also haven't written this down here as well, but a lot of posterior chain strength. Okay, so you want to be focusing, especially for the sled pull, etc. We want to be making sure we're maximizing our growth and our strength in our posterior chain. And then we want to be making sure we're really, really fresh in this strength phase. Okay, so we want to be having priority days inside of the weeks in this training phase to make sure that we're going into those strength sessions as fresh as possible, which is going to lead to more adaptation. If we're going into them coming off the back of things like simulations and long runs and things like that, we're going to be not getting the right adaptation. So keep that to the training phase, okay? Second phase is our strength endurance phase, which is where we basically now start to think about volume. So we know that Hyrox, there's mass volume, there's high rep volume in some of the components. So we want to be getting used to utilizing that and working our body through those high demands. So we'll move from a strength phase into strength endurance phase. We're going to be using about 50 to 60% of our 1 rep max from the strength phase, okay? That's going to be a lot of what you see in a strength endurance phase. High rep scale, we can do a lot of compromise work in here as well. So obviously with Hyrox, it's not a case that you're going into all of those 100 burpees or 80-meter broad jump burpees, 100 wall balls. It's not a case that you're going to be going into those fresh. You're obviously going to be in a really high aerobic demand state. So we want to be doing these types of workouts in our strength endurance phase in a compromised setting. So that basically means layering it in so that you're working at a high heart rate. And repeatability workouts as well. So getting used to pacing strategies inside this phase is going to be key. Okay, and then the last phase we have when we're trying to grow as a Hyrox athlete is our aerobic phase. And there's 2 parts to this. Okay, one is our LSD work. So long steady state is going to build a great endurance, aerobic endurance background. So we want to be kind of baseline working through zone 2 and zone 3 inside this training phase, maybe once, twice a week, 60 to 70 minutes, long steady state runs or cycle, row, whatever you want to do, but it's still going to have the same impact on the cardio system. And then in our second phase of the aerobic work, okay, so there's 2 phases inside there's 2 mini phases inside this aerobic phase. We want to be working a lot of threshold, speed, and also compromised running. So a bit like I said in here about putting the strength in the compromised setting, we want to be doing the same with our aerobic work. Okay, so the biggest thing in here is actually getting our body used to working at threshold. When we're trying to be more competitive in Hyrox, we want to basically allow our body to handle high threshold while working at a maximal pace. So the goal of Hyrox really for you as an athlete, for me as an athlete, for anyone as an athlete looking to be competitive, is have the ability to be in an oxygen debt while also creating a lot of lactate, and then the body's ability to be able to remove that lactate at a very fast pace. So it's going to take, real amounts of training to get your body used to that. So like I said, going through this 3-phase cycle and trying to have a bit of a deeper understanding of how to break up your training from month to month, 5-week, 6-week training blocks inside of a big training cycle over say 12, 16 weeks is going to be really, really important for you to understand, okay? For me personally, with our athletes that we coach inside of our program, our strength phase is always a little bit shorter than our aerobic phase. Our aerobic phase, we tend to push like 6 to 8 weeks. In terms of volume, strength phases might look about 4 to 5 weeks, okay? So that's just giving you an insight into how long these phases should last. But listen, if it's your first Hyrox, get out there and enjoy it. Get a little bit of strength work in, get a little bit more aerobic work. If you're looking to take your Hyrox performance to the next level and you've got clear evidence that you can really scale your performance from your first, second, third, fourth Hyrox, this is what you want to be paying real attention to. So I hope it helps. You know where I am if you need anything regarding coaching and maximizing your potential as a Hyrox athlete. Take care.